And the bad news is you're gone. Travis Wingezel. So, I was correct. The Kirtland Temple vision was on the 3rd, and that was the second day, technically, of 1836 of Passover. And so today, which not now because it's after 6 p.m., is the anniversary day of the Kirtland Temple dedication. And so yes, it's both on the 3rd of April, which, not Passover. Well, yeah, it was Sunday back in 1836 on the 3rd, and this year, 2026, on the 3rd, is Friday. Everybody clear on that? What? Passover? So, I covered already on the 27th the dedication of the Kirtland Temple. I've already done the church history video on the Kirtland apostasy also earlier. And those need to be seen in the context for the Kirtland Temple vision, which is now earlier today. He could have done it in the evening. Probably not. Because remembering the fuller text, I don't think that's the case. But we'll be going over the scripture anyway. And so, as a summary, Joseph Smith was trying to prepare the new Mormons for the latter days. The whole purpose of the temple was similitude for the latter day temple. And thanks to Idaho Chick and a YouTube video by Hannah of the Joseph Smith Foundation, I had obtained knowledge of John Taylor's quote that if the temple does not get built, Jesus will not come. And so, put it in the context of the Kirtland Temple. Joseph Smith built it. Did Jesus come? No. Not for the vision. No. Jesus is not listed there. Other gods are listed there. I don't see Isaiah in that list. No. I mean, granted, Elishua, yeah, but we're not there yet. So yes, that's how it's supposed to be. That's how Joseph Smith meant it to be. Building the temple for the coming of the Christ. But in Jewish tradition of Messiah ben Joseph. 2 Nephi chapter 3. And as I did that video the other day too, Joseph Smith translation, Genesis chapter 50. The extra added stuff about, which is pretty much almost a repeat with some differences. And so with the Joseph Smith translation being after the Book of Mormon with 2 Nephi chapter 3, that then needs to be placed over it to see additional information given in the Joseph Smith translation. Don't look for what's the same and then complain that there's something different. You're supposed to pay attention to what's different, to add to it. It's very crucial and vital to know your religion. And so this is also my pre-show for General Conference that everybody loves each year and anticipates with great eager excitement. And so most likely this is just going to be recorded tonight, and it'll be posted tomorrow, unless I stay up again late tonight, but I don't know what I'd be watching. I'm in limbo. I had interrupted 24 to watch Tony and Ziva that I had bought and received earlier this week. And so now that that's done and over with, staying up late last night, I'm at a loss as to what to do. And I'm thinking something like Falling Skies by Steven Spielberg. But today I watched Twister. Humans being. And so, yeah, saw that in the news too. Storms in the Midwest, is it? And of course, Fridays is when I check the upcoming week's national weather, or world weather technically. So yeah, I saw it. And so because, in context, the missionaries of Brigham Young and Heber C. Kimball, who went out as missionaries in 1832 after getting converted by Brigham Young and Heber C. Kimball, after they converted in April 1832, were lying about Joseph Smith, lying about the Book of Mormon, lying about the church. And Joseph Smith condemns them multiple times in Canon of Scripture, section 84. This is where the church is under condemnation because of the missionaries. Those very missionaries. This was September 1832. And they refused to tell the truth. So in December 1832, which is section 86, Joseph Smith now calls these missionaries apostates, comparing them to tares sowing among the wheat. And so during this time, from 1832 to 1836, you have 1834, a priesthood meeting unanimously votes to change the name of the church from the Church of Christ to the Church of the Latter-day Saints. 1835, Joseph Smith acquires the Joseph Smith Papyri and obtains Greek and Hebrew grammars and Bibles to learn Hebrew and Greek to render the Bible correctly in translation. And so the winter of 1836, after the previous attempt to get a teacher in Hebrew failed, never showed, Rabbi Sykes came and taught in the spring of 1836. And so this is all right before the temple getting dedicated and then the Kirtland Temple vision. Okay? 1835 also, I almost forgot, the formation of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles with their 70. There was already section 102 with the High Council with their 70, also containing 12. Section 102 lists out the names of those who are in that quorum. Melchizedek Priesthood Protocol. Then, 1836, after the temple dedication, for which the Spirit of God had all stanzas of the man like Moses coming in the future. The Hosanna shout for the Christ coming to his temple. And you probably don't know, do you? The man like Moses is the Jewish Christ, the prophet like unto Moses. Deuteronomy 18, verses 15 through 19. Joseph Smith calls him by another name in section 85, verse 7, the one mighty and strong. Because check out verse 8 and then go to Deuteronomy 18, verse 20. And the bad news is you're gone. I don't know, maybe Isaiah will be a false prophet. I don't know, the great prophet Isaiah, false. Can't trust anything he says. We'll find out. Maybe it's going to be interpreted another way. They've already screwed up the time of the events of the latter days. Running a test run, because I kind of exposed them. Seriously? Seriously? You're that desperate to prove the Book of Mormon false? Because I pointed out how true it is? Whatever. And so after this, Joseph Smith then, with the keys of Moses, calls for a gathering of the saints to Kirtland in similitude of the latter-day gathering. From the Spirit of God, like a fire is burning, and his own scriptures. So when these converts, converted to the wrong church, get to Kirtland and find out all about all that's going on here in Kirtland, they're pissed. They thought they were Christian. What Joseph Smith was doing is not Christian. None of it is Christian. Isaiah is Jesus. Jesus is Isaiah. It's the same word from Hebrew. It's just for some reason, our English puts a J for the I in Jesus. And Isaiah's, yeah, it's got the A instead of the us. Translators, they suck at their job. And so, yeah, there's also the extra yah at the end of Isaiah. But Isa, that's Jesus. Same exact spelling. Same exact baby name meaning. It's just Isaiah has the extra yah in it. Therefore, this is why they rebelled, and the Kirtland apostasy was named by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on their website for that period of time, probably in the manual. The commentary or whatever manual they got it from. But they don't explain that it was because they were pissed that it was Christian, or not Christian, rather, not Christian. And so, yeah, they chased out Joseph and Sidney Rigdon. They were going to murder him. So the leader of the church is gone. Mormons are then scattered. These missionaries sabotaged Joseph Smith's church by lying about it. Scattered Joseph Smith's membership. And the group then formed their own Christian religion and named it the Old Standard Church of Christ, that they thought it was the whole time. And so the Danites, those missionaries, having also sabotaged the bank by taking out loans and not paying them back, getting Joseph in trouble for that too, were the ones who led the faithful Mormons to Joseph to Missouri for the second wave of attacks to purge, or shall I use their own quote, cleanse Joseph Smith's church of what they deemed as wickedness and evil. Jewish. Okay? And so still to this day, those same old missionaries, the Danites, confirmed in multiple sources now. Saw yesterday's video, or was it this morning? How long ago was it? There are 3 confirming. So, missionaries go out and tell everybody that Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon and the church are Christian. And so, because of this lie, Mormons have left the church for the church lying. 15 million more surely now have just abandoned the church because the church lied. This past week I had found out that January and February the church has begun to purge the church's wards and stakes because nobody's coming. Somebody on YouTube and Twitter, is she on Twitter? X? Or Facebook, whatever it is she's on. Alyssa Grenfell is trashing this church, massively destroying this church, because the church focused on me, which allowed Alyssa to become popular. And as a result, she has convinced through social media Mormons to leave the church, stop going. Now, yes, she's wrong on many of the things she talks about from church history. Joseph Smith was never a polygamist. Brigham Young lied. He has a little black book of Epstein files. I made a pretty picture of it for you. You posted it multiple times. The claims of this church are all lies. And so their claims of what they are doing and want to do are those that they falsely accuse Joseph of to justify doing it themselves under Brigham Young. And so no, there was no swearing of blood oath covenants, no Freemasonry, no underwear. It was just washing and anointings for Joseph, as I did in that video for the dedication, along with the washing of feet, which the Pope did today. Or is it 9 hours earlier or 6 hours earlier from our time zone? I know St. Petersburg, Russia is 9 hours difference. Because I had a Facebook friend once upon a time until Putin invaded Crimea. And I lost her. Nonetheless, so yeah, also Israel is 9 hours difference from Utah. So Italy is likely 8 or 7 hours difference for Dipop. So on this day in Jewish tradition, this is the 16th, right? Yeah, 16th. 3rd. Gotcha. Is when Esther, Ishtar, the goddess of Mesopotamia. Scholars know this much, and yet they don't apply it to the rest of the Bible. I don't understand them. They catch on to the names used in the book of Esther. Esther is Ishtar, Mordecai is Marduk. They know this. They know that there are Babylonian deities. And yet, it took until Dorothy Murdoch to go, oh, yeah, you can do it with all the scriptures. They just use different names rather than the same name that is used here. And there are some others that are the same. You know, Elijah, the god Yah, but Eli, the Canaanite deity. And so Samuel being given to the temple with Eli as the temple president and the sons of Eli, it's hilarious if you know Hebrew, because you have the name of God who is given to the temple of God with God as the temple president and his sons of God. And so the voice of God comes to him 3 times in the night, for which the warning that God and the sons of God are going to die for their wickedness, and that the name of God is now going to become the new temple president. The new temple of God president. Hilarious, if you know Hebrew. Those Jews, they're such great comedians. So, also on this day was when the Israelites entered into the Holy Land 6 days later and stopped eating manna. It's amazing how so many people think that they've created a machine that makes manna. We'll prove its literal history like Constantine's First Creed said it was. No. It's called self-fulfilling fallacy. You can't do that. Can't do that. So, for the temple is the Hosanna shout also. The coming of the Christ to his temple in Zion. This goes all the way back to King David, of which the Jewish Christ is a direct lineal descent. So yes, I'm going to be correcting by adding, updating, we'll say, the pretty picture I've newly created, and again have to add some more stuff to it from section 107. Okay, so tomorrow is the death of Haman, who had built a weapon to murder the Jews in Persia for which tonight's Last Supper Feast of Esther would expose. Also, Noah's Ark parted the waters and passed through on dry ground on the top of Utah. Again, they're not literal histories, guys. Not literal histories. All the Jews are talking about the latter days. It's all about the same thing. It's just different visions to explain them. Alright, now we can go back and bring up this PDF that I had to make. I'm probably going to transfer it, and it's going to say it's already in the file. It's at the wrong place then. Okay. So 1836, the Hebrew year 5597, as the new year was on the 19th of March. Kind of need to know the Jews in order to understand what's going on. Need to understand what's going on. No, we're not going to go over that. That was hilarious. I got AI Google to confess that they are specifically targeting me. By first asking if the church has paid Google to target me. And came out and said, no, church doesn't do that. We have very strict rules and guidelines. No, the major stock investors have nothing to do with the church. They're BlackRock and Vanguard companies. Google. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints doesn't just invest in only you. They invest in both BlackRock and Vanguard. Which they then also invest in you. So yes, don't give me this BS that I'm not being targeted by the Mormon employees who work for you, who get paid through the church, through you. I'm not buying your claims. And so then I asked if they're attacking me specifically, and they couldn't give an answer of no. Instead, they quoted my own video that I did the other day, showing the evidence and the financial receipts. Busted! After I notified the FBI of this, oh, they behaved the rest of the night for me. What a shocking surprise. It's just unbelievable. It's shift work. I recognized when a person is working their shift. And it's the same pattern all this week. You guys are not fooling me. You're thinking you're hiding behind a computer, and no, you're not getting it. I used to have jobs too. I know how it works. I know what the church does through the Strengthening Church Members Committee. You are not fooling me. This church is not innocent. If they were innocent, they wouldn't be involved in the stock market. They would be giving most of their money away. God. Be a big difference in this church if they were righteous. Okay, so section 107 we now have to go over for church protocols. We'll go over the picture first. Cheat, because we're not going to read them. because we only have 10 minutes left of class now that Oaks has made the change. And I saw that Jasmine now has well over 100,000 views. It's just going to fix everything. Yeah, it's going to fix it all right. You forgot about Alyssa, who took all the Mormons away. This ought to get him back. Todd, seriously? Seriously. Unbelievable. My own brother giving the factual data of sociology to the church, and he botches it yet again as the church is falling around because Todd can't give him the accurate information because he sucks at his career. Because he lied about his education. BYU technically lied to him, and he believed the lie, and then he got busted by the University of Michigan. Nonetheless, you start off in section 107 with the name of Christ. Amen. It's the order of Amen, Emmanuel. It's all in the Book of Mormon. Joseph Smith has several places where he covers it. It's in the Bible. Emmanuel, Amen, son Amen, also called. Because there's Father Amen and Son Amen, same name, just like Joseph and his father. For the Messiah ben Joseph. So yes, this human who is going to be a Mormon is going to have Emmanuel as his surname, and thus is the same name of his father. And even the father's name is in the name of the son. Talk to Isaiah about it. Talk to Joseph. I didn't name myself. Not even my mom. She was denied naming me Elvis. If any of you have seen Young Sheldon, the episode where mommy gets caught on why the oldest son looks a lot like that Roadhouse guy. And does he have the same name? I can't remember. But I did like that spin-off of him and his wife. That was awesome. I like her. Even though she was rocking the cradle of love. Yep. So, yeah. The name of our Christ is Emmanuel. It's the order of Emmanuel from the 18th dynasty David Moses's. The kings and high priests for Melchizedek. Amen in Paleo Hebrew is that 3 picture images for the sun god at noonday, Emmanuel, then the M for high priest in Egyptian, the W is the water symbol, J stroke is the human, so that's Aquarius, high priest, pouring water over. The N is wearing the crown with the cobra head, and then the J stroke for king or kingdom. So high priest, king. The order of the sun at noonday. Amen. King and high priest, Melchizedek. Emmanuel. Amen, El. The Hebrew Bible separates them. It's the Greek that combines them together. But, as Nelson botched, but at least explained, Elijah is 2 names, El and Yah. He says Jah. Well. But then he botches it and says, the names for the Father and the Son. No. No. Again, that was Christianity's influence from the First Creed. It caused a multi-personality disorder in the biblical Hebrew text. because of the wrongly translated Septuagint and Latin Vulgate. Oh my hell, Jews, come on. Go back to the Dead Sea Scrolls and start all over. But the Samaritans are still using Paleo-Hebrew script. So? It says right in the law, don't change the characters. You went and turned them Aramaic. What the bleeping hell, guys? And you went and added vowel points and marks and letters for vowels like the Greeks did. You screwed it all up. Botched the translation. So Joseph Smith, sure enough, having been taught by Rabbi Sykes in 1836 in the spring, came out in his King Follett sermon and said, I was told by a learned Jew that translating Elohim would ruin the Bible, but that's what needs to be done. Yeah. I figured it out. Why can't anybody else? Run the pattern, run the test. Linguistic science, kind of fundamental. So, skipping to verse 22, that does not need to be here. Because in section 107, it talks about the Aaronic priesthood and how a bishop can claim that office if he is a literal descent of Aaron. Okay? And so patriarch with Joseph Smith Sr., then Hiram Smith, upon his death, we already have another tradition of family descent for patriarch. So, patriarch is Smith family. Bishop is the family of Aaron, and it's the birthright blessing son. Hiram was the oldest son upon the death of his father. Yeah, because Samuel is older than Joseph, isn't he? But younger than... I'd have to check. We have to check. We have to show you that it is the birthright. So it should be under Joseph Smith Sr., unless there's a separate one for Joseph Smith Sr. family. But I'm pretty sure it's going to have the family in Joseph Smith Sr.'s Wikipedia page. Round and round and round it goes where it stops. I don't have much longer. So yeah, I saw that Iron County is wanting a data center. Oh yeah, 649 jobs, guys. Oh yay, put it in. And then watch your electric bill skyrocket. Because the data centers keep adding more drives, thus requiring more power, thus causing your power bill to keep on going up, 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 up. Why aren't they paying their own electric bill? Why aren't they? What's up with that? But hey, 649 jobs at minimum wage. Isn't that awesome, guys? Don't you want a data center everywhere? We'll have to get a nuclear power plant to hook it up to. That ought to go over well. Right, Google AI and YouTube AI. Right, Rise of the Machines. Descendants. It is under list of descendants. Bastards. Alright, so Alvin was dead, and yeah, Hiram. And then Jerusha Barden. Oh, that's for Hiram. Oh, God. And Sophronia, and then Junior. So, interesting. So, Samuel is way down here. Interesting. Okay. 1808, March 13th. Cool. See, I don't memorize. I did a church history book publication after doing the research, and so I just combined all the research together into a narrative book version, and over the years I've been adding to the missing parts of the history with an occasional correction. I thought it was supposed to be Coppersmith Shop, and instead it's Coopersmith Shop, and a Coopersmith Shop is a barrel maker. Barrel making shop. So I made that correction. So the copper was obtained through the barrel making rather than for copper making. That makes more sense, actually. More undercover. And so, yeah, the birthright blessing son, patriarch, just confirmed it. That's why. Alvin is dead. Hiram is the next oldest. Senior is dead. And so Hiram becomes the patriarch. There's a family descent involved with priesthood Melchizedek protocol. So patriarch and Aaronic priesthood for bishop, literal descendant of Aaron, can claim as the birthright blessing son to be a bishop. And we have a presiding bishop in this church with bishops for every single ward. And that would have been that was the case actually under Joseph as well. Edward Partridge was the presiding bishop, and then there are other bishops in every ward. And there was supposed to be a storehouse in every single ward. They called it a stake back in those days, or a branch. I think it was a branch. Oh no, it was a stake. Yeah, they called it a stake. The stakes of Zion. And it's because they weren't large enough to have wards within a stake. Much later. Under Preshow. And so, Melchizedek priesthood then. You've got patriarch, bishop. What about Melchizedek priesthood? Emmanuel. The Bible even tells us that Emmanuel is the literal descent of King David. In case you missed out on my corrected translation of Matthew chapter 1. The generations of Isaiah of Messiah ben David. It's Isaiah, remember? Everybody calls him Jesus. It's Isaiah. And that's why there's no prophet listed for the prophecy about Emmanuel. Because he's giving it to you all over the place. Isaiah. And so, verse 40. There it is. He doesn't come right out and say it like he did for bishop, or in practice for patriarch. But it's there if you read it. I did the video. Oh, look at that. So I had fun with YouTube yesterday on that. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints does not conform and comply to Melchizedek priesthood protocol. That's what I've been saying to you guys the whole time. When you know how to communicate with AI, it'll finally tell you the truth. And sometimes it will change itself because of that. Yep, somebody was actively changing AI tonight. In real time. The Mormon panicked. And they got the church in trouble. Hilarious. Mormons never learn. It's been about 10 years, dear God, since I did the videos about how Mormon apologists are famous for getting the church in deeper trouble, trying to protect the church and explain things with fallacy arguments. There's about a half a dozen that are listed, but I don't memorize, so it's been a long time. Hilarious. And so yes, Joseph Smith's religion is about literal descent for priesthood leadership. For the Aaronic, literal descendant of Aaron. For the Melchizedek, a literal descendant of King David Moses III, who was of the order of Emmanuel. The 18th dynasty pharaohs, who went to Salem in the midst of the war with the Hittites in Armageddon 1. And thereafter they built the temple and the palace for his son's coming to be their king. The supposed to be oldest daughter of the tribal leader, but there's a lot of Jewish stories that indicates it may have been the wife. Prima nocta. I love that movie, but that was a very disturbing scene. Very, very disturbing. And so I've tried to block it out of my mind so that I don't remember the title of the movie. And I don't think it's King Arthur. So I don't want to try to remember because it was disturbing, but a very good movie. And it's somewhere in the files. So yes, as tradition, she comes with Pharaoh to Egypt. And so if you've read the Bible stories of not just Bathsheba and King David, but also Abraham and his wife going to visit Pharaoh, and Isaac going to visit Pharaoh and both wives. And there's 3 of them actually. I think the 2 are with Abraham, or there's one with Abimelech. And so it's the father of the king. that's involved in that particular story, but yeah, that same pattern of the wife rather than the oldest daughter. But whatever the real history was, the concept is still the same. She would come back to Egypt, to the west, in the desert, have the baby, and then when the baby is grown up, it's educated in Egypt for the religion and for the government, and then he goes back. They're supposed to have the temple and his throne in the palace built for him by then, so that he then can reign over Salem. And so thus the John Taylor quote was hilarious. Oh, sorry, Pharaoh. Sorry, son of Pharaoh. We don't have the temple built yet. You can't come yet. Contractors said it's going to take a few more years and they're going to need more money. Fail! See, now that makes sense. I did the videos talking about how he failed. Dear God. Oh, Nelson. Yeah. So verse 22 is how it would be done without a literal descent, thus Emmanuel, who was prophesied to take over in verse 40. And so, no, it is not a sustaining vote, as I saw the news talk to some guy in the church. It's not a vote like in government. It's supposed to have been. This is where the myth of the Adam-on-Diamond priesthood meeting originated from. And they turned it into their secret code to overthrow the government of the United States. Or as Benson said, the Constitution will not be saved in Washington. What? Oh, I'm going to have to watch his conference address to see if he says it again. I want to make sure I get that. Doesn't say it. What? He dropped it? Only BYU students got his not saved in Washington part? Oh my goodness. So, yeah. That also comes into play with the law of Purim. I see all of these things combined in together, and we're already upwards of an hour into the video, and I'm already late going to bed. So, this was starting off really well until we got going in. Okay, and so, no, this isn't the true church. You have to follow the scriptures. You have to follow Melchizedek priesthood protocol. They don't do it. You know, every single pre-show, I always say, watch for the sustaining vote, and this will be the solemn assembly sustaining vote, assuming he... And the bad news is... You're gone. See, now you have to go back to my channel to see the video I posted last night, tonight, for tomorrow, for today. Because I'm recording it today, posting it tomorrow. Hopefully I will wake up early enough to be able to get it up before 10 a.m. And I should, since I'm recording it now. Because previously, you'll notice that my long videos end up being posted around noon or afterward. My sleeping schedule's been destroyed. So, verse 82. This is where verse 40 of the one who's a literal descendant can claim his birthright to lead the church. That's why I made this new pretty picture for you. And I need to add the two more that we're about to go over to make it a complete thing for you. See, I always have to upgrade. I don't memorize. I don't have it laid out. Should have done it. Didn't do it. It's already long enough as it is. Because if I do too many more, it ends up being too small. Thin line on the screen. I can't read it. You guys can read it because you can just zoom out or in on your cell phones and then it'll all be blurry. So that's also another option. But I'd have to have 3 more plus a 4th one to do bigger. That is an interesting concept. Because I've got 2 more. I would need 2 more after that. I'll have to think about that. I'll have all night to think about it. Okay? Something like I was born through the prophecy of Isaiah, but I need to tie it to section 107. That's what I've got going here. So I did put Doctrine and Covenants 85:7, 103:16. Then I put Melchizedek priesthood protocol at the bottom of the newer version of this. Always adding, just like on my mission. I had a paper, and I had faith at the top, and then whenever I got inspired as to what faith is, I would write it on the paper. And so the paper got filled up when Ames, my district leader, came over and saw it. Yeah, the same Ames, who is most likely still in his old age, like my age. I think he's older than I am because he was out earlier than me. He might have had issues that had to have resolved with his bishop first. I don't know. But he was the DJ for high schools, little kids, little girls walking around him. And so, yeah, when he came back home from his mission, and I eventually moved to Utah, I was with somebody who wanted to take me to this dance for little teens to meet the DJ, and it's Ames still. He's got a different car. On his mission, he was bragging about his Porsche, and so then he got what was it called? I can't remember. Sort of like a Jeep tank, something like that. Whatever it was. And yeah, nobody liked him because he screws over his employees with less than minimum wage. It's cash on the spot for the event. And so then there was another guy who was an employee of Ames who said, I can do this myself. And he went and did it himself, and it was competition for Ames and blah, blah, blah. Drama. So I don't know what they're up to nowadays. I don't care. Got many stories with Ames from my mission. Going to meet him and Joseph Arndt, who thought he was possessed by the devil, and dinner with Kelvin, who Mark Augustine wrote flaming gay on his investigator record. You dumbass, what if somebody sees that? But yeah, he was gay. It was a house full of guys. They were all cuddled up on the couch when we went there, and they were watching a Schwarzenegger or Stallone shoot-'em-up movie. Rambo, I think it was. But anyway, then his recommendation for Enya. Yeah, I'm going off tangent, aren't I? Memories on the corner of my mind. So, back on track. So yes, it's my birthright. I claimed it. That's what I did these pictures for. I claimed my birthright. I've been telling Oaks in my pictures, let Mormons go. Me as Moses. Oaks as Pharaoh. Pretty simple to make the pattern match too, because none of it is literal history. It's all prophecy, and Oaks and I are fulfilling it. Nelson and I used to fulfill it. Now Oaks is taking over from Daddy Mars. Baby name meeting for Russell Marion. Been doing all these videos for you. 10.3, getting close to. Just waiting for it to change to 4.3. Alright? 4.3? Yeah, because the other one is. It'd have to be 5.3. It should be, because it's 10 point. Because the other channel that I had, TWG, had lots of videos too. So, section 91 or verses 91 and 92. The president of the church has the keys of Moses. It is not the keys of Peter, nobody else's keys. The president of the office of the high priesthood is to preside over the whole church and to be like unto Moses. The keys of Moses. So thus why Moses, not just because it's the transfiguration in the Gospels, where Jesus gets the keys because he didn't have them. He's not the head of the church either. I keep telling you guys that, hoping one day it'll sink in for people. The rightful head of the church will not be the head of the church. Oaks cannot be the head of the church rightfully for the prophecy because he's the head of the church. None of the apostles can. They're in leadership. Moses wasn't a leader in the church. Jesus wasn't a leader in the church. Hello? This is a pattern of Jewish literature for prophesying of the latter days. The rightful Christ is not the head of the church. And so, it's Melchizedek priesthood protocol. That could be one to put in. Leadership. And I could add more if I did one for each. I've got the keys of Moses. I am a seer. I am a revelator. I am a translator. I am a prophet. But yeah, only him. He has all the gifts and powers in that office. Yeah, I don't have, yeah, okay. So that could be the way. So I am the man like Moses for the big one, and then prophet, seer, revelator, translator. So maybe we'd have to do 4 on each row. Making a mess of this, and I won't understand it in the morning. So this is real simple. This is proper. This is protocol for priesthood, Melchizedek priesthood. The head of the church has the keys of Moses. Both Nelson and Oakes, Nelson, went to the Vatican Temple and took a photo op of trying to steal the keys away from Peter. Oh, ha ha ha. Yeah, no, wrong keys. That's for missionaries. This is the deception they've been giving you. They're claiming that they are equal with Joseph. They're not. I did that video for you when I did section 107 on the 28th of March. He's saying that this is according to the vision he's getting. Fascinating. And so, yes, seer, prophet, revelator, translator, spirit. Gifts and powers of God, the Spirit. And so the Book of Mormon was translated by the gift and power of God. Spirit, seer, visions, prophecy of the future, revelation of the day and the hour, calendar dates and clock times, and translation, Paleo, Hebrew, and Egyptian. Joseph was telling you the truth. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints changed definitions of words to fool you, using Christians to help them out. So only the head of the church. Now Joseph Smith taught others how to translate, had a school of the prophets, so he was trying to help people out. You know, there have been people over time who have come to me with their dreams, and I interpret it for them. It's real simple to do. Published a couple of books on it. But if you're thinking in terms of the wisdom of the world, you're going to be wrong. Wisdom of the world is like psychology, astrology. Dream interpreters are no better, no different than astrologers, thus no different from psychologists. They tell you how to think, how to feel, and how to believe, for the intent purpose of getting you to act the way they want you to act. And so what they do is they'll give you the interpretation of the signs that you have in your dream, and then that is supposed to get you to think in your life, okay, well, then I need to do such and such. So getting your fortune told, using tarot cards, crystal ball glazing, glass looking. Did that video on the 20th also for you. Showed you the picture of my rocks and a hat that I can plug into my computer and show you the pretty pictures. I might just have to redo it all. That's going to be a struggle. And so, yeah, your fortune cookie, for example, it'll tell you something. You will meet somebody new today. Oh, lo and behold, you had to go out of the house to go get the fortune cookie, unless somehow you can have it ordered in But hey, a new guy delivered it for you. Ta-da! It's general enough that the person who believes in it will force the fulfillment, or self-fulfill the self-fulfilling prophecy that they all gave you, regardless of whatever crap field it was, non-scientific field. And so, yeah, psychologists, they give you diagnoses of your mental retardation. And as long as you believe them, they'll then give you the drugs, and then you'll get addicted to the drugs because they're psychotropic drugs. And then over the years, when your drugs start to wear off and you need to get more, you start to go through the withdrawal symptoms, and so you have to take them drugs because the psychologist says, see, you're mentally retarded like we told you you were. Take your drugs. And tardive dyskinesia ensues. Right, Oaks? Yeah, psychologists from Nazi Germany made Oaks who he is today. Lucifer. But I don't know, maybe Isaiah's a false prophet. We're right here at the final hour. Dear God. It's so frustrating. God. Right to the very last moment. Seriously? Nobody's going to believe anyway. And how is it going to get transferred? How am I going to get Mormons to Zion through an Exodus? God. Mormons don't believe. And I tell God this in my vision of the burning bush. They're not going to believe me. You're supposed to have had that lesson, or it's next week after conference. This one I think is for Easter that they blow off because it's conference. You're supposed to study Easter on your own rather than Passover. So Passover is next week, if I remember correctly from the video I did covering that. Alright. So, this sets it all up for you. Proper priesthood protocol for the Melchizedek priesthood and the Aaronic. And I am him. I've more than proven myself if you run the scripture test of by their fruits you shall know them. Because prophet, there it is. By their fruits you'll know a false prophet, or if he's true. So you've got seer, revelator, translator also. Plug it in. By a false seer's fruits you shall know him. By a false revelator's fruits you shall know him. By a false translator's fruits you shall know them. Run the test on me. I've done more than enough videos to show I do all of them. Run the test. And that's the thing. With Monson, it was signs in the heavens from Revelation. And his birthday. For Nelson, it was visions. Translator has been throughout the whole thing. Even before I changed the theme of my channel, I was going over translations for you at the beginning of my thing. And so if you go to my video page and click on oldest, you'll see lots of translation videos in primitive form. Because I'm trying to figure out this system movie maker that's now obsolete. And YouTube or Google, Microsoft likes to take advantage of that on occasion, as those who followed have noticed. Oh, God. I mean, how? That's a camera issue, but there's other, they screw me over on a movie maker. Anyway, so yeah, and the Anonymous Mormon gave me an app for an graded version, but I have to go through and study it and experiment with it, and I don't have time. It's been hard enough with this one that I had to learn as I go, make the errors throughout the years. So if I had done that with the new one, it's been years. Probably. But we weren't supposed to be here at this point. We were supposed to be in Zion by now. Oaks delayed it because I exposed them. We're running a test run. Travis found out. He's the man like Moses and suing us in Pharaoh's court. Then he put Holland in the hospital. We didn't want to tell Travis for 2 weeks. And then Travis did a countdown for the fall of Nelson. And so we didn't want to tell him he was right for 3 more weeks after that. And then we didn't want to tell Travis that he called the very minute. So we just said, shortly after 10. These guys are real bastards. I tell you, they know I'm right. They know I'm him. And that they still just deny, reject the whole time. Dear God. And now they've purposely screwed up prophecies from the scriptures. By running a test run and failing, Trump is still failing. He's now going on to the next attempt to try to get money from Congress by increasing the amount. And still, just, dear God, Trump, oh, just nuke everybody. Just do it. Because nobody else is going to do it to justify you doing it. My first ex failure had to do that too. You've got to be the cause. I'm sorry, you got to be the Antichrist. I know you thought you were the chosen one. Got all those evangelical, apocalyptic people preying on you. Dear God. That one woman, dear God, she is psycho. Just like Amy Coney Barrett. God, Trump. Nonetheless, you're being used, Trump. I tried to warn you. So, alrighty, I think we can go to it now that we're an hour and 18 minutes in. Oh dear God, we need to keep it under 2, and I need to get up on time. So that everybody will watch my video instead of watching Conference. This isn't Conference. Why aren't you showing Conference? Because I'm not the church? Go to the church's channel, you dumbass. I've had people say that. This isn't Conference. This isn't from the church. What do you mean this isn't from the church? Did you not see the channel name? Travis Wayne Goodsell. Hello, not the church. I don't need to put in a disclaimer. This is not official church information and blah, whatever the other channel guy did. It was Adrian, I think it was. Comes out with it. God. Mormons. So, section 110. This was on the second day of Passover, April 3rd, 1836. Today, tomorrow, yesterday. Today, yesterday. And for the reasons, that's why I went over this day in the Jewish tradition of the month for the day. 16th. And so Esther is the law of Purim. This is what we're waiting for. The Jews conquered by Babylon, 9th Av, 586 BCE. They want to know when their kingdom will be restored. They're still waiting. And so Daniel 2 goes over the different kingdoms and Christianity at the feet that are going to have to come into existence and fall. Christianity has to fall. It fell. Pope confessed last year, 4 months late. He's still pretending that Christianity is true. Dear God. And over Daniel chapter 2. That means, because Babylon isn't true, Christians know that, right? Persia isn't true, Christians know that, right? Greeks aren't true, right? Rome isn't true, right? So how then is Christianity true? Hello? And so Mormons claim that the mountain is true. No, it's the rock from Utah that rolls down. That's true. Mormons. So, thus, I did the tangents. Joseph Smith is the founder who erected the church. Brigham Young insurrected, I resurrected. There. The chief cornerstone of the cornerstone. The builders rejected. Has become the chief cornerstone of the cornerstone. It's just those simple things that he just botched at the pulpit of conference. And nobody knows it to know. And then they get mad at me when I point it out and laugh hysterically. He was purposely trying to make you dumb. Or get you out of the church. Finally, Alyssa did it. Fulfilling the Book of Mormon prophecy. No, the cornerstone becomes the capstone. You know, the all-seeing eye and the capstone on the dollar bill of the pyramid. Yeah, there's a cornerstone. That's Joseph Smith. That capstone is the Mormon in the latter days. The head of the church, Emmanuel. Me. The literal descendant of King David Moses III. Dear God. And so yes, Mormons reject Joseph Smith. How in the world am I going to become the head of the church? So this is what it's all for, is restoring Joseph Smith's church. For the Jews, it's restoring their kingdom. Now, granted, sure, if I were the President of the United States, we would be helping the Jews get their kingdom back and getting that abomination off the ruins. It is the Jews' land. Islam are terrorists. It's just awful how everybody plays dumb when it comes to Islam. Nobody wants to investigate the origins of Islam. They all talk about the origins of the leader of Islam who got assassinated by the Israelis. And the new guy, they do who is this guy? And they'll do who is this senator? Who is this new person who's taken over from Pam Bondi. You know, they'll say all the history of Iran, but they won't go back to Muhammad. They won't go back to the 60s when the United States signed the act to bring over asylum seekers from Islam who became sleeper cells in America. Because the women are still wearing the symbol of their patriarchal sexual abuse. And then they join the church and they say it's cultural. And those stupid Mormon Westerners fall for it. Oh dear God. Islam is in Mormonism. Nonetheless. So it's all about the Jews. So for Passover, as this was, it's about restoring through the man like Moses, who's going to have them going in Exodus. Pharaoh lets the people go, and they go and build Zion. And so Elijah plays a part because he's the God Yah. I'm going to get to it, explain that for you. And so the Jews have their meals for Passover, and thus the Haggadah one that I missed that evening. Covers it the next evening. But every evening they have the meals. But the particular Latter-day Supper Feast is the one. And so thus Jesus in the Last Supper did the video already. And so that's what it's all about, is the coming forth of the Christ. Suddenly to his temple, but not quite. Because Moses didn't. There was no Zion, there was no temple in Zion. The Exodus from Egypt was to go and build Zion. So that's why John Taylor's quote is hilarious. Because, yeah, there is no Jesus. Wow, so amazing. You guys called it. You didn't build Zion. You failed. Sure enough, no Jesus. Shocker. And so, yeah, Joseph Smith, no Jesus. Or was there? They turn this literal history. It's not literal history. He says, vision, 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 vision. Like a dream. Right, Nelson? Oh, you're dead? And I called it for the day and the minute, huh? Oops. From visions. Not literal histories. Likeness of things on the earth. And so, sure enough, Lord's Supper is also a part of this. Shocker. Because that's what Bruce R. McConkie put in the chapter heading. He puts these words. The prophet prefaces his record of the manifestations with the, it's not manifestations, Bruce, it's visions, with these words. Because you can see vision in the text. He doesn't say manifestation, vision. And yet Bruce R. McConkie still put manifestation. He lied. In the afternoon. Oh, noon. Noonday, huh? I assisted the other presidents in distributing the Lord's Supper to the church, receiving it from the 12, whose privilege it was to officiate at the sacred desk this day. Deacons. And priests. 12 to 16-year-olds. Now it's 11. After having performed this service to my brethren, I retired to the pulpit, the veils being dropped, bowed myself with Oliver Cowdery, And solemn and silent prayer, after rising from prayer, the following vision was open to both of us. Prayers. But the 12 apostles with the last day's supper. Joseph did this on purpose because of Revelation chapter 12 of the coming day and hour of the Christ to Mormons. 23rd September 2017. A virgin clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of how many stars? 12. Ta-da. The 12 apostles, the 12 houses of Israel, are the vision for the revelation of the calendar date and clock time of the day and the hour of the coming of the Christ. 23rd September 2017. The Saturday of the Women's Conference that for the first time and the last time was added to General Conference, for which then the next year it became part of the October Conference, as priesthood was April, until Nelson wanted to stop it the next year in 2019. But I did videos saying, oh, no more women's conference. Then Nelson was angry. We can do whatever we want for the third session. Now Oaks has banned it. You're welcome, women. You're welcome, and no woman watches my channel. I don't understand why. Did you not run the test? Run the test. That's all you guys got to do. God, how is this hard? So yes, Joseph knows the date by now. He did it in the Joseph Smith translation of Revelation chapter 12. Spirit. He goes over it with you, with the additions that he also makes in verses 1 and 7. Kind of need to trust Joseph on this. And so here we are, again, another year. So the first person he sees is Jehovah. It's not Jehovah, it's Yahweh. It's not even Yahweh. I have to explain translation for you that it's not phonetics. That phonetics is the Mesopotamian phonemes after they were taken captive into Babylon, and Babylon turned Paleo-Hebrew into regular Hebrew, or Semitic Hebrew, as it's more commonly called. It's a completely different language because of the phonemes. They took away the understanding of the individual hieroglyphic meaning. That's why William Foxwell Albright, being counseled by Sir Alan Gardner to use the acronym theory, and he still botched it. But that's the claim, is that it's from Mesopotamian because of the phonetics that Babylon turned it into. God, you get these people who are in positions to be considered experts. Dear God, I went over it. I did a whole paper on it. Nothing was correct. Everything was wrong. And you're the expert in this? Dear God. So yeah, after doing that, and then had to do it myself, so I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. And it technically took me about a few days. Would have been quicker had I had all of the reference materials back in those days. Nowadays, yeah, I can easily figure it out. So yeah, I can, boom, just like that. So Russia, they have no clue what the Z is in their Russian language. Their own Russian language, and they have no clue after all these hundreds of years what the Z is. I look at it and go, oh yeah, Constantine's Cairo. Come on, guys, just ask. Real simple, once you know how to translate correctly. So yeah, that's why they think Proto-Sinaitic is the oldest alphabet. Oh yeah, it's got Hathor. Yeah, she was from Egypt. Sure, yeah, yeah. From the Ptolemaic period, dumbasses. That's why it's in the caves in the Sinai from the Ptolemaic period. How do you guys botch this so badly? Dear God. And I have to tell Mormons that the temple that Abraham is being sacrificed in is the Kamambo temple in southern Egypt. Dear God, Mormons. Have to do everything. So, Jehovah. And it has a Paleo-Hebrew spelling. Have I done that for you? Is that here on this computer? Okay, I show how Jehovah, Jesus, Joshua, Isaiah, Elijah, but I don't know if I did a pretty picture on that, because I know I've at least told you guys in videos. But I did make this pretty picture for you guys not too long ago. From Yah, 1500 BCE. Yah, 300 BCE. And then Yahweh from 800 BCE. So, anyway, we'll quickly go over it. How do I explain this for you? Section 100, or Psalm 119, if you use a printed versions, has the Aramaic script, so you won't see it in Paleo-Hebrew script. In Paleo-Hebrew script, the first letter, because you go right to left, right? You know that much? No, you do. Is a Z with a little thing in the middle. And that's the Heliopolis creation glyph of heaven above, earth below, and then Father Shu holding up his daughter, separating him from his son. They had sex. She got pregnant. Too late, Dad. According to the story. We won't go into that, but that's what it is. And that's where I ran the test with Chinese to check with Egyptian, because people back in those days were saying that there is no connection between Chinese and Egyptian. I say a direct connection. Direct, because sure enough, the upper line in Chinese is for heaven. The lower line in Chinese is for earth. Huh. Even the sun is exactly the same. In Egyptian, it's a circle with a dot in the middle. A little thing. And then so for Chinese, instead of a circle, it's a square with a little slash thing in the middle. Hello? Real simple to see. It's pictures. Do a picture match. But anyway, and so yes, I was able to confirm my Paleo-Hebrew decipherment through Chinese to show that I am correct. Because you got to run the test 3 times for confirmation. Confirmed. Egyptian, Greek, Chinese. And so, creation, the coming forth of the son who is to take over the throne. The next one is the flail. See, Tutankhamun, Tawut Mose, Tawunkhamun. He has the shepherd's crook and the flail in his hands. The flail, you'll see in facsimile number 2, to drive the cow. And so that's for air. The rakia, or rakiyang, from Rabbi Sykes. Facsimile number 2. Right? Yeah, facsimile number 2. I think. I'm pretty sure. Check me. I don't think it's in 1. And there's a number of apologists who know this, so I don't think I'm talking to a completely unaware audience, if you're still listening. I'm going to wait till after conference to watch your video, Travis. And so, yes, it's Shu who's the father in the middle, separating the two. Even though that is for the reed. Yah, the founder of the 18th dynasty, Egypt, Mosiah. Shu, the father. The next one is the tent stake that holds up a tent. It's also Moses. You have to have his arms lifted, held up. Yeah, that's what those scriptures are talking about, is that right there, for a stake of Zion. Tent stakes. Tabernacle. And then another air symbol. And so thus, the two heirs are being supported in the middle. And thus Moses in the middle between the upper air and the lower air. Sun, noonday. The Heliopolis creation glyph for Osiris and Horus, which is father and son Amen. Real simple. Real simple. Right? So simple. So simple. We're done with calendar, right? Okay. That's interesting. I could put the Paleo Hebrew for each of these guys if I redo this picture. Interesting. Do I want to do that? That would be extra work. Redo vision pick with Paleo Hebrew. So I'm sure you guys are bored with it. Because then I could do Joseph in Paleo Hebrew for you. Show you Yah Soph, Yah of the reed. Which Yah is the reed in the middle between the upper and okay. So that's who appears. These are all the same guy. They're just different titles. I am the first and last, Alpha and Omega, as well as the A and the X in Paleo Hebrew. first and last letters. Sign by Isaiah. I give unto you a sign. It's the 3 days of darkness by the sun god at noonday over the United States of America. That's why their A is tilted, just like over America. And the X is the first and last ones, over Zion, its location in southern Illinois. All right, and so yes, my name shall be here. Lord, huh? Holiness to the Lord. That's not his name. Unless you refer to Yahweh, Jehovah, to cover up the actual name Emmanuel, to avoid the too frequent repetition. Because I already went over that video. Okay? So he says, I will manifest myself to my people in mercy in this house. And that's why Bruce R. McConkie put manifestation. No, it's because he's a real human and he's going to be a Mormon who will manifest himself to Mormons in the latter days. This is similitude. Joseph Smith is the manifestation back then, Messiah ben Joseph. So that's what he's referring to here. Not complicated to botch it, and yet church botched it to be evil. Alright, so 11. No, I don't want to go over the whole thing. Verse 9 goes over in the endowment, which was washing and anointings, king and a queen, high priest and high priestess unto the Most High God, Amen, hereafter to rule and reign in the house of Israel forever. Well, how can you do that? Can't there only be one king? In Zion, that's how. Each family unit is over their family in Zion. So over the generations, your family grows. And the firstborn birthright blessing son is the one who becomes the tribal leader of the family. And don't botch the protocol, because there's a threat warning that somebody's going to want to try to take over Zion and destroy it by claiming to take over the throne. You guys all have your own thrones. Stick to it. Let's see. Blessings poured out upon the heads of the people. Amen, sun god, has the arms coming out of it in Egyptian pictures to be laid on the heads. Thus from Emmanuel through the priesthood holder to those who he blesses with the laying on of hands. And thus it's through the mind, inspiration, the gifts and powers. And running the tests of scientific method. Oh God, 11 o'clock. Don't pollute the house. Oops. Needs to be set in order now. Alright, so, people. After this vision closed, the heavens were opened again unto us. It was fascinating to see the signs in the heavens. I don't think I have those on this file. Because yes, there were signs in the heavens accompanying this as well. So I should get that snapshot for you. 3rd April 1836. Sign in heaven. Why are you giving me problems now? You're doing so well after the first thing. So let's check 3 April 1836. No, it's not on this computer. So I'm going to have to redo it. Because there's no way I'm going to be able to find it. Take time, waste time, blah, blah, blah. So Moses would be Jupiter. Revelation chapter 12 in the Joseph Smith translation. And committed unto us the keys of the gathering of Israel, to be the head of the church. The man like Moses. That's why after getting these keys of the gathering of Israel, Joseph then put out the call to gather the Israel at that day, in similitude of the latter-day gathering of Israel. The man like Moses, section 103, verses 15 through 18. Mormon, the Jewish Christ, from Deuteronomy 18, verses 15 through 19. It's not Jesus. Jesus didn't even bother to show. So yes, church has to fall. This is the final four. This is the time for final four even. That's weird. Both the men's and the women's have a final four going on right now. I love the women's title for it. The Elite Four. Awesome. Good job, girls. So yes, the fall of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Did you forget already? And the bad news is you're gone. I don't know, maybe Isaiah's wrong. I'm gonna cry. How much longer? Are we just all doomed? Am I just doing this in vain? We're all gonna die. Because, as John Taylor says, no show Jesus. We're all doomed. Oh, God. The transfer of authority. It's already spiritually happened. I had the dreams for it. Multiple times. Did the pretty pictures. And so, yeah, I've proven myself as to who I am. That's why I had those dreams. Because of what they did to me. And the law of Purim is also for me, too, not just Joseph Smith and the Jews. And so the transfer involves everything of the church. The records, the money, the assets, all of that transferred to me so that I can then get you in an exodus. Because if everybody just goes their own way like they are with Alyssa, you're getting yourself set up for the slaughter that the church has got planned for you, that I'm trying to warn you about. But I'm not a female like the new name Esther is. Did you guys catch that? Is that her real new name? And she's not telling me. She doesn't watch my channel. Women don't watch my channel. But that would be funny. If there's a video where she gives the date of when she went to the temple to be endowed, tell me, and I can tell you what her new name is. Just like that. I just need her date when she went in. So, if you forget, you don't need to contact the church. Call me. I'll tell you. I got those secret powers. Shh. Ancient Chinese secret. Calgon. And so, yes, that's where the book of the law comes in, that I've been telling you about. And then the building of Zion. I've got the blueprints already. I know how to build it. I just need to get the fall and the transfer made. It's just bleeping taking forever. God, these guys are incompetent. You know, and Oaks comes out last year and gives 5 death threats before Easter, and then nothing. Trump failed. This year, he added 2 more. 7 death threats. And here we go, and yet, crap, Trump, you failed again. You're trying something new to try to figure out how to trigger the event. Trump, come on. But it gives you guys more time. For this church to fall, transfer authority to me, we get an exodus to Zion and build it before Trump finally succeeds. You want this done before then. Otherwise, we're doomed. Because right now, the Mormons who left the church under Alyssa are doing their own thing now. Whether they're joining a Christian church, whether they're joining a Jewish church, whether they're not going to church, they're doing their own thing. And that's not good, because you don't know the truth. Church lied to you. And right now, it is not a good time to not be aware of what's going on in the bigger picture. That's why I'm here. This is my whole mission. And it's been extended. And so it's not a situation where you can just sit and wait. You have to actually plan for how you're going to contribute to the storehouse of Zion. So, staying alive. Okay, so, Keys of Moses. After this, Elias appeared, and people who think they're clever say, well, that's Elijah from the Greek. Yeah, but no, keep reading. After this, Elias appeared and committed the dispensation of the gospel of Abraham, saying that in us and our seed all generations after us should be blessed. Okay, well, what's the gospel of Abraham then? Well, go to Abraham. The gospel of Abraham is the gospel of salvation. Salvation in Hebrew is Shua. Oh, Elijah and Elishua with mantles, parting the waters. Dry land appears. I had to do that video again for you this year. Because Oaks, oh my God. I've got the mantle! No, you don't. No, you don't. Hoax. So thus Elishua, Shua, God of salvation, Shua. There's Jesus, but it's Yah instead of El. Yahshua for Jesus, Elshua for Elishua. And so yes, Yah is in Yahweh, and Yah is in Elijah, the God Yah. So Yah is all over the place. The reason why they're all the same person is because of the name in Paleo-Hebrew, Ishmael. The name of Yah is Sun God. Yah, name, universal symbol of the sun, El for God. Name of Yah, Sun God. So every time you see Yah, that is taking the place of Emmanuel. For that very reason. avoid the too frequent repetition of Emmanuel. Only I get to repeat it often. And then there's stories about a drunken cow and that other female who has the same story, but she's a different name than Hathor. I did that last year, I think. Covered her. Because I recognized the pattern match. And so, yes, Revelation chapter 19. He has a name that no man knew but he himself. Amen. From the Egyptians. John, the Revelator, is talking a whole bunch of Egyptian stuff in his document. Real fun and cool. See Revelation chapter 12. Isis fleeing into the desert with her son. Horus. Jupiter. Virgo. And sure enough, she was immaculately conceived in the story. Hovered above her dead husband as the falcon or hawk, which is the symbol of the sun, Horus. And then it depends on the story version told by the different authors as to what was done with the missing appendage. The scattering and gathering of Israel. Done those videos for him multiple times. Okay? And so thus Elijah, and this is why the Jews celebrate Passover with Elijah, the god Yah. And so yes, the prayers are to Yahweh, and Elishua is from the Elijah and Elishua mantle thing. And so yeah, that's why it's quoting Malachi. You need to pay attention, because that's why the Book of Mormon came forth. The day that shall come shall burn them, and they that come shall burn them. That's Joseph Smith in 1838. The Danites, the missionaries from verse 1, who are evil disposed and designing militant persons, lying about Joseph Smith's church. And there it is, Willard Richards, negationist of Jesus, put in Jesus Christ in the name, and then changed Moroni to Nephi, or changed Nephi to Moroni. New name Nephi, in the Temple of Angels. Joseph Smith was giving you a vision, guys, about me, and using Knights Templar also throughout the whole thing. So that was pretty cool too. So yeah, that's a picture that I should also eventually do. I don't know if all these pictures are popping up. And it's after 11, and it's after 2 hours. Pick second vision as vision, prophecy, revelation. Yes, the Book of Mormon is what I've been using this whole time, and Mormons deny it. That's just horrifying to me. The Mormons would rather burn in hell than believe that the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith were Jewish. Just like those apostate Christians who were gathered to Kirtland were pissed to find out we're not Christian. What the bleeping hell? Tried to assassinate Joseph and form their own church. That's what it's all about, and thus the temple for tithing also is a part of this for the storehouse. No monetary system of economy, no priestcraft, and will man rob God, and then the burning, and then so yeah, the hearts of the children of the fathers to unless the whole earth be smitten with curse. Yeah, because there's an extermination event coming with the burning. We need the family lines. Houses of Israel in Zion. We need to repopulate the earth after the church has it destroyed. And like I said, that's how the church does it. They don't do it directly in all cases. Funding Islamic terrorism, sure, direct case directed to the church. But online, they're a little sneakier. I don't know why. Nelson came out and said, we've rigged the algorithms. We forced Microsoft and Google and social media to rig the algorithms for our benefit. Frequently repeat the name Jesus. I so command it. So that's what we got going for the vision here. Real simple when you use the Spirit. Not that Spirit. Seer, prophet, revelator, translator Spirit. And then, yeah, for conference, yeah, notice I didn't even bother. Because they're just going to go through the traditions that we all know. And I don't know why the One News, whoever it was, came out and tried to claim, explain it for people. And then say that it's not a literal vote for politics. Yeah, because it's false. You got to follow the scriptures. 107. So there you go. I'm going to bed.